How's everybody today? So, the emphasis for our team, which I mentioned earlier, is to really focus on what we need to do to improve, play to our standard, do it for 60 minutes in the game, play a complete game. And I think it's really important, regardless of the circumstances, that players respect, their opponent. I think humility, is something that is very, very important, all right, because it makes you respect all people. It makes you respect all things, makes you appreciate things. And when you have humility, you always respect the other team. And I think that's very, very important. If you don't have it, it creates kind of a blatant disregard for doing things the right way. And that can be a problem in terms of the habits that you create. So, hopefully, we are going about those things like we need to, so we can, improve. I know Saturday, we're certainly looking forward to playing at home. Even though it's 11 o'clock kickoff, I think it's something that our players have to be ready for, regardless of what the circumstance or situation is. We need to be ready to compete, ready to play, and be our best. But I know that the Teachers Excellence Award winners are being honored. Teachers are a very important part of your life. I think if we all look back, we all probably have some teachers. I have some, whether it's Miss Turkovich, who was my math teacher, or Miss Herndon, who was my third grade teacher, or Rose Matthews, who, was my English teacher in high school. All these people had a significant effect. My high school coaches were all teachers, probably had as much of an impact on my life as anybody in terms of how you develop work ethic and discipline and do things the right way, make good choices and decisions and all that. So we have a tremendous amount of respect for teachers. Terry was a teacher. I actually, could have been a teacher. I think coaching is teaching. Teaching is ability to inspire learning. So it's certainly an important thing for us to be able to honor excellence, with the teachers. I'd also like to mention the fact that it's a terrible tragedy in our community that we lost a police officer on Monday night, and I would like to know that, our entire program, all the players, coaches, everybody in the organization, our family, our thoughts and prayers go out to his family, and I know that we're doing something in the stadium tonight to honor this person. So it's a terrible tragedy for us all, and God bless.
Do you have an update on LaBryan Ray and the timetable for his recovery?
I would say that LaBryan Ray is probably going to be out for at least 6 weeks, and then it will be, how is he responding to treatment and therapy and all that type of thing. So I would say, I'm not saying he's going to be back playing in 6 weeks. I'm just saying I know he'll be 6 weeks before he can even start back to doing things. So we'll just have to see how he responds.
A couple weeks ago, you said you had some freshmen, young guys that you wanted to develop on the defensive line for depth. Where do you think you are in that process?
Well, it really doesn't matter where we are. What matters is we're working with these guys every day, and we got to try to get them to play to a standard and them to understand, what the standard that we play to around here is in terms of their ability to execute, the toughness that they play with, the effort that they give, all these things. So, I don't think you can teach experience. But I do think you can teach people the standard and the expectation, and we have an expectation that these guys are going to play too, just like everybody else. And that's what we're working toward, and those are the habits that we're trying to create.
Middle here with Michael. I had concerns last week about the kickoff coverage and maybe being lax with all the touchbacks. How do you think they responded to that last week?
Well, I don't know. We had 2 or 3 tackles inside the 20.
Yeah, did really well.
And first couple times they returned it, we blew them up inside the 15. The one play would have tackled the guy inside the 20 on 2 that they got to the 23-yard line, and we kind of missed a tackle. So based on that, we were concerned before that. We sort of made our players aware of it, and I thought they did a great job of covering with effort last week.
Coach, go ahead and go back to James.
Kind of on that same note, game planning for special teams doesn't get talked about as much, obviously, as offensive and defensive game planning. Can you just kind of take us into what goes into that, what you're looking for in the opponent's specialists and coverage teams and return teams, and how do you decide?
There's just as much that goes into planning for special teams as there is in offense, defense, or whatever. And, I work hard at it. We meet on it. Jeff Banks does a really good job of, sort of covering the details with the players. We come up with a good game plan, each and every week that we try to get out there so that the players get a chance to practice and execute. We usually work all special teams on Monday, all special teams on Thursday. We do punt and punt return on Tuesday. We do kickoff return on Wednesday. And it always works best when you have some really good core special teams players, which we did and we do. But the more you lose guys, you start pegging into the depth on your team. Sometimes it can show up on special teams.
What is the latest with Antonio Alfano and what his father announced on Twitter on Friday about the transfer portal?
Well, I don't really know much about that. I just know that the guy basically quit. He quit going to class. He quit coming here. We tried to encourage him. We tried to help him. We tried to set up counseling sessions with him to help him every way we could. And all those things are still available to him if he wants them, but he didn't respond to any of the things. So until he responds, you just have to assume the guy quit.
A couple more. We'll start with Kurt.
Coach, there seems to be a perception that college football tackling maybe is on the decline or hadn't been as good as sometimes, and I wondered if you agreed with that, and if so, would you have any reasons why tackling might be down?
Yeah, I think that I don't see everybody, but I know that I'm really on our players on our team because I think we missed far too many tackles in the last two games, and I think it comes down to the way you practice. Now, I'm not complaining about the way we have to practice, because I think you can still practice tackling if you do it the right way without putting yourself at risk of injury, without anybody getting on the ground. But you have to put yourself in position to tackle a guy every time you get an opportunity. And if you're not willing to do that, then it's going to lead to poor tackling habits. So I'm not complaining about the way we need to practice in this day and age for player safety. I'm not, and I don't think it's attributed to that. I think it's attributed to the players doing the things in practice they need to do to put themselves in position to do it because they know they're not going to tackle the guy. So rather than doing that, they just run by and tag the guy. Well, they're not in position to tackle him. All right, so when they get in the game, they're not in position to tackle the guy. So we work really, really hard on that, and we've been harping on it really a lot this week. And so, when you play these teams, the game has changed too. All right, so I think that contributes to it because now there's a lot more space plays to be made in a game, whether it's bubbles, RPOs, balls on the perimeter, rocket sweeps, broom sweeps, all the different kind of things that people do now. That's all harder to tackle the guy than when they run up the middle and you got 11 guys in a wad with leverage on the ball. Different. I call that wad ball. We don't see any wad ball anymore. It's spread.
All right, Coach, we'll finish up here with Tuck.
What have you seen from Justin Ebogibe, and how quick of a learner is he since coming from January?
Well, he was here in the spring, and he was doing really, really well. He missed 2 weeks with his foot, which probably set him back a little bit, like any young player. But we have a lot of confidence in him. We think he can be a good player. I think he needs reps, and those reps that he missed over that 2 weeks probably, set him back a little bit. But we need to keep him healthy. We need to manage his reps, and we need to continue to have him improve. But, we like him as a player, and he showed a lot of a maturity as a player to be able to, sort of do the things the way you need to do it. And he always seems to play a little better in the game or in the scrimmage than he did in practice, which is a sign of a really good competitor. All right, thank you.